And I will say, I'm very proud of you. I can understand every word you're saying today. When you got in last night, I know you're jet lagged and you were mumbling. I was like, this is potentially a train wreck. I cannot understand one thing he just said. Even this morning, the only thing I heard you said is when you called Anthony Turgis.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I understood. I was very stressed. I can understand everything today during the show.
Yeah, that's good. I clean up my delivery. So.
All right, let's talk rest
One
day.
thing you did say to me, sorry, JB, Colin,
sure.
you said before, remember, Bradley, we got an American audience here. Don't be coming around that Cockney rhyming slang. Welcome to the MOVE podcast, stage 9 of the Tour de France.
Fucking beautiful. Wow.
I know that seemed. I know everybody. You're like, whoa, what happened here? Is Lance sick? Did he get COVID? Is he? Did he quit the show? No, I'm still here. I'm just sitting. I've been relegated over to another seat, and we'll get into that in a minute. But as our friend, and as we have teased out, our special guest for a few days here on the coverage of the 2024 Tour de France, and as he said, stage 9. Each and every day brought to you by Ketone IQ. One thing you forgot, Sir Bradley, is our good friend Alain. Alain, where did we start and where did we finish?
Stage 9 from 3 to 3.
What a slack.
From 3 to 3.
Such an easy day. You know, and we were out on a ride yesterday. I got a kick out of this. We were out on a ride, and he drives. First of all, he's French. He drives this like 1970 Chevrolet pickup truck, bright blue. You cannot miss it, right? It's as American as you can drive.
I thought it was a Bronco.
No, it's a Chevrolet pickup truck. It's like neon blue. It screams America.
Yeah.
And he hops out of the car and he's wearing a T-shirt just screams Levi's.
Yep.
Can't be more America than that. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're all right, whatever, dude. And so he tells us yesterday that I did not know this, but apparently he last year's sound quality wasn't that great. For this year's announcing of the stages, he went down to a music studio and he's taking it that serious. Yeah. This is how we've leveled this thing up. I mean, we got Sir Bradley, we got Alain the Frog. He goes down to a studio and records it professionally, the reading of the stages. Pretty special. Anyways, this is a day we've all talked about. We're still talking about it, right? Whether or not this stage deserves or should be in the Tour de France, right? A gravel stage that so many things can go wrong. All the while, you know, we're all sitting back watching going, fuck, this is cool. Yeah. Like, this is entertaining. Everybody that watched.
Well, y'all were hating on it this morning when our first cup of coffee, you and Sir Bradley, and saying how it doesn't belong. This is kind of stupid for the tour. But in the last kilometer, you guys were jumping up and screaming up and down like a bunch of cheerleaders.
I was converted by the end.
Yeah.
I'm all in.
Yeah.
Everybody that watched, and a lot of the quotes were, this is one of the coolest things I've ever seen in the Tour de France. So that's pretty consistent. Meanwhile, you go to the riders, and I thought they were level-headed about it. They said, look, I'm sure everybody enjoyed it, but this should not be in the Tour de France. It's a healthy discussion. By the way, as I say all the time, they're not going to listen to us, so we can have a healthy discussion. Let's get into all the action. But before we do, today's show brought to you by Element. Folks, you hear me talk about it all the time. I sweat my ass off. George never sweats. I have a sneaking feeling that Wiggo sweats a lot. You look like a sweater, right?
Not in a dirty way, just in a, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not in a seedy way.
Yeah, but you look like you sweat a lot, so this will be good for you, right? 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, 60 milligrams of magnesium, no sugar, no gluten, no artificial ingredients, and best of all, if you don't like it, give it to a friend. Special offer for our listeners. You get to try out the Element Sample Pack, which includes a pack of every flavor that they make. And again, you don't like it, chunk it away or give it to a friend. Also try out the new sparkling Element, right? Become a part of the salty revolution. I still love that. Head on over to drinklmnt.com/themove. That's drinklmnt.com/themove, you salty revolters. Also today brought to you by Roca. Oh, that's right. Lizzie got our new pair of Rocas the other day. This is a funny story, all right? So Liz was, standing right here. She's taking, y'all can't see her, but she has a whole set of Rokas trying on. She's like, what about these? What about these? And we're all like, those are the ones, right? Like a woman does. Then she just ignores all the guys. She's like, no, I like these. And we're like, well, why did you ask us?
Yeah,
Right?
true story.
Because that's what women do.
But they make the best glasses, whether it's across the spectrum of performance glasses that you would ride in or work out in, and then also just kind of the chillin', casual glasses. For example, I've got mine right here. If you're watching the show, Lizzie, get a picture of this. George,
I like them.
you cannot hang with this look today. Hondo P. And then also the readers. This is something I can't live without them. As I said the other day, I'm currently up to 2.0s. We go, how's your reading?
Eye-wise.
Yeah, like if you read something.
Yeah, my eyesight has just gone in the last 2 months.
Yes. So okay. So you're probably at 1.25.
Yeah.
But
Can
nonetheless,
I get a pair of try?
you can. From our hometown of Austin, Texas, Rob and his crew have just built an amazing brand. We love them, and you just look super cool and super dope when you're wearing them. The Move listeners get 20% off. Just go to Roka, ROKA.com. That's Roka.com. Enter the code THEMOVE at checkout. Also today brought to you by AG1. Plain and simple. Take control of your health. Morning routines are critical to me. One of the most important parts of my routine is drinking my AG1. I drink it before working out, right before making my coffee, and you know what? I should rephrase that. I drink it every morning, and right before George makes the coffee, because George's job at the We Do House during the tour is to make the coffee every morning.
Yeah, you switched up the coffee brand on us yesterday, and I wasn't very happy with the final outcome.
But I also shake up your bottle of AG1, so you can thank me for that. It makes us all feel ready to take on the day, and also feel like you're doing something great for your body. Also, worth mentioning, tons of research behind AG1 and just what it does for your health plan, and again, as I said at the top, how it helps you take control of your health. There's one product that we trust to support the whole body health. It's AG1, and that's why I've partnered with them for so long. It's easy and satisfying to start your journey with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3, K2, and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Head on over to drinkag1.com/TDF. That's drinkag1.com/TDF. By the way, this free thing of vitamin D3, K2. Look at Wig. I mean, you're from England, all right? So you're not getting any sun, all right? So that's. I feel like you're going to get a lot of free stuff this week. Dear AG1, make sure, look at the man.
Look after me.
Yes, he needs, I have a feeling he's deficient in vitamin D.
Probably am.
Yep. Most people are.
Yeah.
And so we'll send those over. Anyways, let's get to the action.
Yeah, I think, well, before we get to the action, I think we need to give a proper intro to Sir Bradley Wiggins.
Yeah,
I mean,
we do.
2012 Tour de France winner,
Yes.
8 Olympic medals, 5 gold.
Yep.
And just an insane career. Started as a track rider, became a GC rider, winning the Tour de France. I was teammates with him in 2008. We did one race together, Tour California.
We did.
Training camp, of course, and we had a good time, lots of laughs. And then from then on, man, his career just skyrocketed, and just did what many people never thought he could do, and won the Tour de France in 2012, which, ironically, I was racing against him with Cadel Evans, who had won it in 2011. And, we knew that he was good, but, man, what the tour that he had that year was incredible to watch, and he's a very nice guy, very funny. But that tour, he didn't talk to anybody. I mean, he was like in robot mode. I remember, I'd be like, Bradley, what's up, man? He'd be like, what's up, George? And just like never look back. He had the team around him. It's funny watching the Tour de France this year where you don't have that kind of, even like a day like today, you see some guys with teammates there, but it's not a full squad of strong guys controlling it. You guys did it in 2012. It was amazing to watch. And welcome to the show, Bradley.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It's been a great trip so far.
And I think one of the bigger accomplishments, I mean, we can talk about winning tours and 8 Olympic medals, 5 of them gold. I mean, making the flight. I mean, that's
For me, that's quite good.
That's got to be up there.
Yeah.
Now there was one missed flight as a part of the journey.
And we have a question. There was some sort of like visa issue, which we didn't know that visas existed in between. So was it an oversleep issue? Was it a visa issue?
No,
We're trying to
it was
figure
visa. It was. But my son did all the logistics for me, Ben.
Ben's a great guy and a great cyclist.
He sorted out my S3, made sure, I've got to get to the airport on time. He's been fathering me a lot recently.
Great.
Yeah.
Great kid, and he's having a great year as well. Second in national championships.
Yeah.
Follow him, guys.
Yeah. I mean, I was doing a talk in Leeds, the other side of the country, and my passport, couldn't find my passport in a few days before.
Oh, shit.
But my daughter found it and she drove it across. She's now driving, so I've got them to thank for getting me here.
She's 12. I mean, I know she can drive. It's just not legal.
Can I ask you this, Wiggins? Because the first time I saw you on GCN, I had to go Google, Bradley Wiggins from Tour de France 2012, because I didn't think you were the same person.
No. Why?
Just the physical transformation.
Come on.
No, but I mean, anyone could look at you today and go, "There's no way this guy was a Tour de France winner with your physique." So, what drives you now?
What drives me now? I think I've realised I've experienced both sides of the coin. So when I retired, you don't know what to do with yourself. You carry on riding for a bit. I took up another sport in rowing because that was institutionalised to train and have something to focus on. Since I was 13, all I'd been was a cyclist. And then I didn't train for a year and a half, nothing. So I put weight on, I got really unfit. I was smoking and things like that, and I don't smoke anymore on that. So I think I went through this transition period of realising both sides of the coin. And I tell you what, your mental health and everything, it's a far better place to be when you're working out every day.
Yes,
and it's also finding a new equilibrium of like a balance of being that you feel like you have to do training for. So when I trained, I'd have to reach for the stars, So if I was doing something like rowing, it was because I'm trying to go to the Olympic Games. And I've had to find a healthy balance now where I can train, but it doesn't have to be for something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just to feel good.
For sanity. For sanity.
Yeah.
I mean, you're speaking.
But we're all competitive as well, aren't we?
But you're speaking to like-minded people.
Well,
absolutely. And
it looks like I'm going to be the worst guy in the gym this week. I'm pretty much throwing in the towel right now, but I'm excited to be working out with you guys.
Yeah. But I hear you're doing some boxing too, yeah?
Yeah, so I that was a new sport I took up a year ago in an attempt to learn something new. Also face my fears a little bit as well, being quite anti-confrontational, and I guess that's the fear as well, facing that fear as to whether I can actually get in the ring and fight someone.
Because Lance has always joked that if you ever want to watch something ridiculous, watch cyclists fight.
Yeah, well, we've seen it all, haven't we? We have. We've seen. There's been a couple of good fights on the Champs-Elysees.
With our friends,
Barbie.
Yep, that's right.
It was the one.
Lance had one at the '96 tour, didn't you?
Yeah, yes, you're right. It wasn't a long fight.
But
Lance had one like pretty much once a month, but not everybody saw it. Well, I do have a question. I'm super excited to have Bradley here on the show. I love it. I cannot wait for this content that we're about to bust out. I promise we will be talking about the Tour de France here in a second. But what is going on with this seating arrangement? And I need maybe the members to write in because if maybe they agree with me.
George is uncomfortable.
JB is the moderator, and I feel like JB should be up on this little platform higher up than us. Moderating. What are you doing up there? Why are you with us down here?
Well, two things.
Like Judge Reindeer up there.
Yeah. Two things. First, there is no. We don't have to stick with the seating arrangement. You'll remember a few years ago when we first started covering the Tour de France Femme avec Zwift. We started one day and I was like, oh, the feng shui is a little off. And we changed.
You were really uncomfortable.
Yeah,
you're doing that.
I was in the middle. I said, wow, I'm nervous about this. And so we changed and it helped the feng shui. I'm a big feng shui guy. Yeah. Big energy guy, right? And so I'm just, but more importantly.
I like this setup.
I'm sure you do. That's a great seat.
I think that's the hardest place to be is where you are, JB.
Yeah, thank you for acknowledging it.
Yeah, that's a
finally
good seat. That's a good seat. But to answer George's question, this is the second point. Because JB is the moderator, and as I said in the pre-meeting, to move the shit along, which he was very, very proud. Put that on his business. I move shit along. That's his business card.
I always say half of it is getting him to show up and get it started. Hitting record.
But look, George, let's be frank. All right, it's my show. All right, and I'll tell you a fun little story. So one time, this is many, many years ago. It's probably 15 years ago. I was doing a bit with Oprah. Right, we all know Oprah. I definitely know Oprah. Unfortunately, but unfortunately, you know what I mean. And one of her producers, and we're at her, let's just call it an estate in Santa Barbara, in Montecito, right? And one of her producers is like, "Oh, I think this would be really funny for this, if you." And I forget what she asked me to do, and like to my core, I was like, "Oh, I just don't want. That sounds stupid. I don't want to do that." So I circled around and I said to Oprah, I said, she's asking me to do this thing, and I don't want to do it. And she goes, well, don't do it. I go, oh, well, that was easy. I go, well, you sure that's cool? And she goes, oh yeah, that's fine. And then she says to me, she goes, you know why? Because this is the Oprah Winfrey Show. And I was like, yes, ma'am.
Right.
Oprah said I didn't have to do it. It's my show. So I get to sit up here on this little elevated thing, but I'm also open to moving around,
Okay. All right.
If you feel weird and it's not agreeing with your feng shui, we can change it up. But
I feel like my neck's getting kinked already because I keep looking over at you. So I'm gonna have to. I don't know. Let's talk stage 9. I mean, what a stage!
It's highly controversial. But speaking of Wiggo, we're all watching the race. Yes, it was very exciting. It was exciting the whole time. The finish was very exciting. We're all sitting here thinking, does Steuven stay away? You were betting on the Movistar rider, and Wiggo's like back in the corner of the room, and he just stands up and goes, Turgis has it. And I'm like, what? No, we haven't talked. We've never talked about this guy on our show.
Never.
And
Not in 8 years.
it was a guarantee. You should have just stamped it in concrete. It was over. And sure enough, the man calls it. So congrats.
Yeah. Where
You're
did
one
that
for
come
one.
from?
1 for 1.
How'd
you know he was going to win?
I see dead people. No, I've got a sixth sense.
You did call out. He got second. Where did he get second?
Second in Milan San Remo
This year.
No, a couple of years ago when Mohorovic won.
Ah, okay.
That
So he
year.
won the field sprint.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's quick.
Yeah.
Cyclocross rider, but I could just see him in there. I said at one point, we looked on the cameras and he wasn't breathing. He was the one that was he's 30 years of age, got a lot of experience, hasn't won a stage in the Tour de France, surprisingly. But everyone else was, they were all flapping like, he was the one who was more cool, calm and collected than everyone. And he was the one that we least expected as well.
Correct. And it was actually kind of rare that those guys actually worked together to catch Stuyven. I mean, we thought he was gone. He had 10 seconds with 2K to go. It's very rare that a breakaway of a bunch of riders from different teams are going to work together to get him, and they did. That was a very exciting stage.
By the way, Jasper Stuyven, a hell of a ride and a great kid. Like, it's just, I mean, you do cheer for him. He's a very sweet kid. Started up in our junior program with Axel many years ago. So I've known him for many years. You're just cheering for him. Also, too, worth noting, third French stage win. And I said it the other day, like, their years, they don't win stages, right? And so we're 9 stages in. They won a third of the stages. France is like, vive la France, and so, and also worth noting, Turgis comes from Direct Energy. They tried to make a splash and make a move with Sagan years ago, become one of these elevated teams. Didn't pan out. That's okay, but it's a smaller to medium-sized team. We've had 8 different teams win stages, and when 8 out of the 9 have been, different winners. And a lot of them from these smaller teams. We're not seeing the powerhouse.
Also worth noting, like Bradley mentioned, Sturgis got Turgis. How do you say it?
Sturgis is the motorcycle.
Sturgis, you confused me with the motorcycle story. But second place in Milan San Remo. Stuyven first place in Milan San Remo. Pitcock winner of, I think he won. Didn't he win Amstel Gold Race? I mean, think about the rock stars in that breakaway. That was no panic cooking breakaway.
No.
That was the classics guys. Big power guys. There was no luck involved in that breakaway. That's the type of breakaway as a fan you love to see. I mean, essentially a selection of a breakaway. The yellow jersey group was at some points 3 guys to 20 guys, and it was interestingly enough, they slowed down that last 10 kilometers, and ended up losing 1 minute and 45 seconds. The group ballooned up from like 20 guys to 60 guys. A lot of guys came back, but think about how many matches were burned by guys like Pogacar, Remco.
Remco's one.
What did you think of the Remco attack with 70K to go?
It was great. We've seen him do that before in Liège, and
yes,
great. Explain why, because I want to know why you think it was great.
I watched him the other day on the Galibier stage, and he's someone who's more of an outside bet that could win this Tour de France more than Vingegaard, I think. Because he's just. Remco will grow strength to strength in this race. It's his first Tour de France. He's won that time trial the other day, which shows he's got the better legs. But he's so aerodynamic as well when he goes and he gets into those positions. But
he's leaner than ever too.
Yeah, and he's just at the right age now to probably do something like on this stage.
But like tactically speaking, you got a group of 8 guys 45 seconds ahead. Very strong group, mind you.
Yeah.
A guy like Remco is going to attack. I felt like it was a bit too of a very excited move, not thinking clearly, because what's he going to do? Bridge up to these guys, and then they're going to be like, dude, we're not going to work with you. You're in second place in the overall. So they're just going to sit on his wheel. So I feel like it was a big waste of energy to see him do that. You know, tomorrow's a rest day. He'll recover, I'm sure. Like you said, young guy. But, I mean, why attack with 75K to go?
Yeah, but isn't that modern cycling now? Because
I guess
we saw
so, yeah.
Pogacar afterwards doing the same thing.
Yeah.
There was lots of matches burning, and it was a bit of a... everyone was flexing their muscles a little bit, weren't they? And I tell you what, it come down to when I was watching the interviews afterwards. You know, Vingegaard said that Pogacar was clearly the strongest rider today, and I'm relieved to get through this stage.
Yes.
Now, you talk about mind games and things like that. Riders give a lot more away in interviews now,
Right.
In terms of, you know, have they? You know, that was a bit of a muscle flex today, wasn't it?
Yeah, and let's not forget, Vingegaard was not even on his bike.
No,
I was going to say, I mean,
Yeah.
we said this the other day, once he got through those first few hard stages, if you made him this deal, you know, when he was leaving the hospital a month ago, 6 weeks ago, and you added to the deal, you're going to have to make a bike change on the gravel stage and ride it for the rest of the stage. But this is where you're going to end up on GC going into week 2 and week 3. He takes that deal every time. And you heard it in his voice. That's what he said. Look, I mean, yes, Pogacar was the strongest. I'm happy with where I sit.
Well, you bring up an interesting point of they give away so much right now. We've talked about Strava files. They're on social media. They're talking to. They're doing podcasts all the time. You know, they give away a lot. You guys in your day, you would do a short interview, and it was like you hardly said anything.
No, you didn't.
You thanked the team, and
but Pogacar was the one when he did his interview at the end. He goes, "That was a fun day." You know, and it's almost like smarting, like I got the better of you all today from a psychological point of view.
Yeah, but did he? Well, there at the end, that last surge at the end.
Yeah,
Vinga on somebody else's bike is right there. You turn if you're Pogacar and you turn around and, mind you, look at the stage, right? You would have expected a Wout van Aert to be driving and riding with. These are all the GC guys. These are all the climbers that are making the selection, right? So you make this. It was an impressive attack. He turns around. Vingegaard's right there on his buddy's bike. I would view, if I turned around and saw, I said, shit, this guy's on somebody else's bike and he's on my wheel.
Yeah,
I'd be like,
And also, he's looking around.
I would question. It just depends how you look at it or how they frame it.
He's looking around too. He's got Christophe Laporte, Wout van Aert, Matteo Jorgensen, and Travnik would have been there also if he had not given him his bike. So he had the team around him. So even though at times there was a selection where it was just the three of them, I was like, I actually agree with them. Why would they work with Pogacar? He's like, I got my guys behind me. I just want to get out of this safely. I'm not gonna,
But Pogacar had a couple of riders at the back of that group drifting around.
He did. Pollock was up there for a while.
Was Yates there?
Was Yates up there? Yeah. Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
He was. I'd be impressed.
I think it's interesting too, but just a second on the bike change. As most people know, every rider has a spare bike on the car. Of course, the cars were so far behind today that they couldn't get to their spare bike. So he had to take Trotnik's bike. Thank God Trotnik was right there. Apparently, according to Jorgensen, his orders are to always stay behind Vingegaard. Just so anything happens, like it did, they just hop off, change bikes, and they go. But here's the thing about changing a bike. Even if the car was there and you take your spare bike, I don't care which factory they came out of, how great the mechanic is that measures everything. They're never the same. No. Your spare bike, you can ride it you could ride it every other day. It never feels the same. And even worse, if you're taking your teammate's bike on this stage, this is not a stage where like, hey, let's just ride the pavement, stay in the group. It's going to be a field sprint. Like this is as demanding. This is as uncomfortable as you can be.
Well,
so both you guys,
he did best part of 100K on that bike as well.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, the thing I noticed, why didn't he change back to?
I was going to say.
So it must have been a bike problem rather than a.
I think they just never slowed down. I think it was just so fast. And he was just...
But you normally get ahead of the race to give the bike at the side of the road, don't you?
I don't think you can anymore.
Oh, you can't do that?
That's what we were talking with Johan. I don't think they could have handed him a bike. That would make sense. Like, get a bike up the road. I'm sure you have a staff with a bike. Like we mentioned before, Bora had 100 wheel sets throughout the course. Ineos had 4 separate teams of staff throughout the course. The logistics for this day was insane. So surely they would have been able to get a bike ahead of them, but I just feel like they were so scared of stopping and changing bikes that they didn't want to risk it.
Spencer.
But I'm sure
who
you guys.
works
Sorry,
on-
I'm sure you guys. You had a guy that had to follow you that had a similar size bike to you. Probably you did as well.
I didn't because I was on different pedals to everyone else.
Oh, you were okay.
Well, that's the deal. Like, there's always.
So I had speed plane. Everyone else had Shimano.
Right. So here's you imagine being on a team like Visma Lisa Bike, and this is competitive to make the tour team. Everybody wants to be on that tour team with a guy that's won twice and can potentially win again. You want to make that team. So your guy like you're on the bubble. Your guy like 7, 8, 9, 10, and then you're just raising your hand, going, "Well, I am the same height, and I do ride the same pedals." Like, you have to have that guy. Like, whoever the other guys are, and they ride a different pedal, and their bike is a centimeter higher, centimeter lower, it's part of the conversation. But my guy was always Chechu Rubier.
Yep.
We were just close enough. And by the way, too, Troutnik's bike is probably set up. It may not be set up perfectly for him, right? Even if because it's all about seat height, really, at that point. Because that's the thing that would make you feel really awkward. His seat height, no matter what he wants it to be, is set to Vingegaard's seat height.
Yeah.
He said, I think Vingegaard was like a quarter of an inch taller than Troutnik.
Yeah.
So pretty close, but yeah, I would agree that they'd had the position.
Yeah, he's dealing with whatever.
Still would be weird though. And
Very weird.
They actually mentioned, what did they mention? That I just had lost my train of thought. Go ahead. Somebody else say something.
New seating. I think the new
The
seating.
new seating's got me all. No, actually, they mentioned that he was getting being bumped around in those the gravel sections because he's so light now. Yeah. And I don't know if you heard us the other day. Apparently, he's lost 8 pounds or
I don't believe that.
3-4 kilos since last year's Tour de France, which seems
Vingegaard,
which seems impossible because he's so lean before.
Yeah.
But for being so light. And being a true climber, for him to get over these flat gravel stages, which is true power, sprinting out of, you saw how fast Pogačar was sprinting out of these corners in the gravel, and he was just right on it. I'm thinking the battle went to Visma Lisa Bike today by far.
I mean, he could have just lost some muscle weight being in the hospital for so long.
Well, for sure. Also, but then you got to lose a lot of power as well. Yeah. But he's not missing anything on these flat stages. No.
We'll keep breaking it down here in a second, and we'll just kind of touch on the dynamics in and around the rest day because those are always, I think, really strange and interesting days. But before we do, today's show brought to you by Ketone IQ. We often hear that fasting and exercise are good for the brain. HVMN launched the world's first drinkable ketone in 2017. Ketone IQ is their latest innovation on ketones with improved effectiveness, taste, and cost. Ketone IQ delivers clean fuel that can cross the blood-brain barrier. Wow. Supplying your brain and body sustained energy, focus, and sharpness. 30% off your first subscription order plus a free 6-pack when you use the link ketone.com/TheMove. And also check out these. I got them in these new gel packs. Just easier to throw in the bike jersey. If you're watching, you can see. Again, ketone.com/TheMove. Also today brought to you by Ecoy. And if you guys saw the social, George and I went on a little ride yesterday. I tell you, we looked really good. We looked fit.
Sir Wigo just pounded one of those ketones.
Yeah. Yep. Now he's hammering.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, see, folks, the show has
the level is just notched up.
Actually, the show just started. We're going to start over. Guys in the back, you mind if we just start over?
We might all do it. Cheers, boys.
We'll all do it.
You see, and if you were sitting next to me like you should be, we could have had it on the same shot.
It's just crossing the brain barrier now. Yeah, hell yeah.
True story. But if you saw the socials yesterday, George and I we're looking fit. We're looking tan. Right, we're in this beautiful countryside outside of Aspen. You see our helmets? You see that Ecoy helmet? I mean, I look at these things. I look at some of the helmets. And if you watch the race today, some of these helmets they're wearing now, I don't understand. And I said it.
They look horrible, don't they?
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Sir Bradley.
Yeah.
A week ago, I said, has somebody hijacked the helmet design room? I don't understand. However, this Ecoy helmet, all right, and by the way, George, back me up. It fits like this cowboy hat you're going to get later today.
Yeah,
I mean, you put that sucker on, you're like, wow, I'll wear this around. Like, go to lunch, just keep it on.
Maybe get sponsored with one.
No, we might. By the way, Ecoy has 4 teams in the Tour de France. They use all of their athletes to develop the products, and that's across all disciplines: road cycling, triathlon, gravel, like today, and mountain bike. As I said, 4 teams in the Tour, including Carlos Rodriguez, who I'm curious to see how his game plays out. A guy like Carlos Rodriguez, he weighs about 105 pounds, made it through today, still in the conversation. A lot left in this Tour de France. Head on over to Ekoi. That's EKOI.com. The entire Ekoi website is currently on sale until the end of July. So even when the tour is over, you keep getting a deal. Discounts up to 60%. It's hard to find better deals. Special offer with the code THEMOVE, and you get $15 off any purchase of $150 or more. I can do the math on that. That's 10%. I can only do that math because I just have my ketones. Head on over to ekoi.com and use the code THEMOVE. Hey, George, guess who's back?
Who?
Our friends at the feed are back to keep us hydrated and fueled throughout the Tour de France.
Mosca?
All right, here's the deal. Here's the thing about the feed, and I say it every year. The feed has been around for a long time, and it's one of these ideas that I like to think I come up with good ideas, or at least I understand and back good ideas. I don't know how I missed this one.
Yes, they have for sure.
Yeah.
What's the idea?
Just the
We're about to tell you.
the business, the concept around the feed. It's a fucking great idea.
Yeah.
And Wiggo, back us up here, because you've been in the peloton and had musette bags where you're starting the tour and you're it's the same stuff in the musette bag every
I would go up to
day.
the Garmin guys, try to trade you guys for the rice cakes.
Yeah.
Remember those days?
Yeah.
But anyways, they're back, and they are, in fact, the largest online marketplace for sports nutrition, and you can pretty much buy whatever you want.
Yeah, I love to buy single servings of everything. When I get the feed box, I usually get at least 5 different gels, a couple different hydration packs. Love it.
And they have some pretty great deals for all 21 stages of the tour, starting with their Tour de France pack.
Yep, I just got 10 to 11 products. I'm seeing some of my favorites like Pillar Magnesium for sleep, Scratch Chews for riding, and a bunch of other good stuff.
And George is not, he's no mathematician, so let me help you with this. That's 11 products for $21. The man just looks good, right? We cannot expect him to do math like this. Right? Look at the man.
Is that the bag you come with, George?
Yeah, he walks. He
show it.
legit walks around town with his bag.
I do now. That's my new thing, actually.
11,
Can I get one of those?
11 you can get one. You can absolutely get 11 products, $21. That's 50% off, and you get the Feed Musette bag, Bradley, and a limited tour bottle. All you got to do is head on over to thefeed.com, and you'll see the pack.
This is biblical.
On your way. We've been
see Sir Bradley walking around downtown Aspen with this draped around.
We did reference the Bible the other day. Back me up here, JP. It's been this is our 8th season.
Yes.
But we did talk about the Bible the other day in a roundabout way. We never said the word biblical.
No.
That's a first. So thank you for that.
So that's what I bring to the table. I've got a few more words if you'd like to hear them.
Well,
maybe you should use them now before we get back on Peacock.
Hey,
these are the days where we can say whatever the heck we want.
I want to know, after watching the stage, how you guys all feel. I don't think Johan's opinion is going to change. I want to know how you guys feel about the inclusion of this gravel stage after witnessing it.
Yeah, they're the worst ones to ride, the best ones to watch. I wouldn't have liked it, but you train to the demands of the event. You know in a year in advance what the route's going to be. And there's not been any big losers today, is there? So everyone's risen to the occasion. There wasn't that many. I feel like the cobble stages are more of a risk than this stage today. We not have more surprises and more issues in the cobble stages than we have today.
Well,
Yeah.
what I was surprised about, and we talked about this yesterday, is gravel is a general term, right? There are different types of gravel, right? We rode yesterday when we were riding here.
It's a very general term.
Technically speaking, we were riding gravel. We were on our road bikes with road wheels and road tires, no problem, right? It's a very smooth gravel. You're not even thinking about having a flat or a mechanical. There are different categories, let's call it, or textures of gravel. I was shocked when I got in front of the TV today. I was like, oh my God, this is the gravel? Like this, folks, was chunky, rocky. I thought, okay, let's put the stage in. I don't agree with it. I thought this would be smooth gravel. This was real. This was unbound gravel, minus the mud and minus the clay.
Yeah, imagine if it was
chunky,
raining.
and sharp.
Yeah.
That's why we're seeing flats out there. We're seeing some mechanicals. The other thing that I think, look, does this stay on the tour? Does it deserve to be or belong on the tour? They're not going to listen to us. I would probably vote no. Slight caveat, I fucking loved watching it. The one thing that is, if it stays in the tour, they got to figure out the cars and the motorcycles in front of the riders, right? We talk about it all the time. You want to be in front of the peloton. Why do you want to be in front? You avoid crashes. You see what's in front of you. You're first in the corner and first out of the corner. And you can, but that advantage partly goes away because now you're getting smoked.
Yeah, there was no clean air
by media and motorbikes with cameras, and I think they would have to resolve that. Now, again, we will see if this
That's
continues.
not going away. I mean, look at Roubaix. It's a 100-year-old race, more than 100 years old. There's going to be cars, motorbikes in front of these types of races all the time. It's required. It's necessary. It's part of the sport. It's not going to go away. I loved watching
There's
it.
more dust. There was having said what I'm about to say, I'd never done Roubaix. It's not as dusty as this. Like they are kicking
Dry
us.
Roubaix is dusty.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Again, like what the fuck do I know, right?
And I know what these guys are saying. These guys are former Tour de France winners. They don't like to add risk when it's not needed. So it's a race like today is super risky in terms of, flatting, crashing, losing out on a whole year's of hard work by some mechanical issue, which you'd hate to see in the Tour de France. But man, was it exciting. From the first sector on, there was like a group of 70 guys just stopped in the entrance of the sector. Some of them were just chatting to each other like, this is going to be a really long day. And they couldn't even move.
Does it become a bit of an arms race then for the rest of the port? Like you said, that team had 100 pairs of wheels out there.
Yeah, yeah.
So you got smaller teams in the race that don't have the resource to do that.
Yeah.
So...
Well, then you got to rely on luck. I agree. And even though we saw Bora had one really bad crash, I think it was Vlasov who went down really hard. And that might have been just a lack of, concentration there momentarily. Roglic, he, minimized he didn't have any losses today, but he seemed to be off the back all day.
He did, yeah.
And fortunately, he came back. I'm a huge fan of him. I'm not giving up hope on his Tour de France. I think he's going to get better and better. He's gotten through the hard first week. And they're all going to have a nice rest day tomorrow, and we'll see what happens in the mountains. But I really, truly, truly enjoyed watching that stage today. I thought it was awesome. And as a rider, I would have loved to have been there because a rider like the classics guys, they love to get in front of these, these mountain climbers. That's what made you such a special rider. You could do Roubaix and you can win the Tour de France. And you probably may have not liked it, but you wouldn't have been scared of it, I don't think, because you're a good positioner.
Yeah.
You had a team, and when you have that, you have an advantage. It's like, okay, well, this is gonna suck. It's gonna be a little bit scary, but I got the team, and I know that when the shit hits the fan, and I need to be in the first 5 guys in position, I'm most likely gonna be there. So let's go, bring it on.
By the way, we didn't talk about the first section. Right as the peloton entered the very first section,
Let's tell the calf story on that one.
I was asleep, but when I saw the replays of riders, and again, if the road gets blocked because of a crash or mechanical, then guys have to stop and they can't get going. I don't think you should ever see riders in the Tour de France walking their bikes. I think that's a bad look. I agree. And so. But we did FaceTime with Cav right before the show, and his views were George Scher.
He said it wasn't fun. He clearly didn't like it. And then he got mad at me because I asked him if he walked up that section. And he basically said, "Fuck you." Of course I didn't walk up that section.
Well, he looked
fresh and he had a good day.
Then he was on the right side of the
lads. Don't do it, George.
You forgot the slap. You got to slap him before you talk.
Hey, I'll pass it down. I want to show you guys an image, and it's perfect to have Wiggins here today because if those of you don't know, he is quite the historian of bike racing, Tour de France, everything.
And American riders, anything. It's incredible.
And he's the greatest. He can imitate anybody in the world.
Yeah.
Right.
Just hope you don't get on that under that radar.
No, I mean, if I said right now, Bjarne Riis, do Bjarne Riis right now.
Well, he doesn't talk, does he?
Or do a Danish guy. Do some Danish guy. Do him Brian Holm.
Oh, hang on. This is.
Oh, come on.
I can't just do it like that.
He's got. It's got to be random.
We'll give you. You know what?
And you can interject at any moment. It doesn't have to be that we're asking you. You could just pop it in. That's special. That's what's so special about this show.
Talk to me like that.
All right.
What's the
reason I want to show you this image? Everyone's going, gravel's new in the Tour de France.
Not new.
Well, of course it's not new.
There were days when it was all the passes were dirt and gravel.
Look at the spectators. I love the spectators there. Look at him on the right there, enjoying his day out.
It was probably a 400K day. Yep. This is nothing new. So maybe it's more of a throwback than a new thing, if you look at it.
Well, you could certainly call it that. You could call it a throwback. Look, I mean, we paved the roads for a reason. We just did.
That's a good answer.
We just did, right? Before this was before that. There was the horse and buggy, and the horses didn't give a shit. They'd ride around on. In fact, they preferred the dirt to.
But that's all there was. They actually did shit.
And if you go back to the history,
the streets are full of shit. That's why the ground floor's not the ground floor. It's always up the steps because there was horse shit everywhere.
Yeah.
In New York, particularly.
Little known facts. See,
That's why you have the ground floor is always up, like on the first floor, isn't it, in New York? Because New York was swamped with horses. There was horse shit everywhere.
Interesting. Yeah. It took a British guy to come here and tell us what it was like in New York 100 years ago. But the history of it was the League of American Wheelmen was actually the advocacy group that petitioned the United States government to start paving roads for bicycles, right? That's why roads are now paved. And then, of course, came the automobile and
so all those drivers passing us, yelling at us, they should be thinking
otherwise they'd be driving around, in mud. But no, this is definitely a throwback. That's one way to look at it. But it's also, look, this is the rage, right? I said it yesterday. This is the cool kid in class. It'll be interesting, right? Gravel will be around for a long, long time. In 10 years' time, will we be having this stage? I suspect not.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
The Tour de France will always come full circle back to what it is traditionally.
Aren't they every year just trying to look for that one feature?
I don't know what they're trying to do sometimes. No, I don't. I honestly don't.
What was the most sketchiest stage in 2012 when you won?
2012.
Taking out the mountains, of course, just like a sketchy flat or cobblestones.
There was that stage in traditionally the first week of the Tour de France is the worst, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
It's the sprint stages and how hectic it gets in the last 30, 40K. But there were some horrific crashes in that first week, if you remember. There was one, stage 7, I think it was. I just missed out. About 40 riders went down.
Oh, yeah. That's
Cav
right.
got caught in it.
Yep.
And that was the traditional pattern to the race, wasn't it? You always had to avoid those crashes in the first week.
Yeah.
But this week they've had a lot and it was always about getting to the first time trial. They had a time trial earlier than you would normally have.
Yeah.
Stage 1 was...
Yep. It was always a cadence to the Tour in our day, right? Yeah. To your point, the sprinters, gave the sprinters the first week. GC guys, God bless you, try and avoid the crashes. On day 8, we're going to chum it a little bit and give you a long time trial. And then we're going to do some, middle week. I mean, it was very consistent, that cadence. Well, and that is what I love about this 2024 Tour de France. Keep in mind, a week ago we were like, oh no, this might be real boring. This is, I will say this is not boring.
No.
And people that come up to us on the street, which happens all the time. In fact, I did forget one thing I wanted to say, but the folks who come up to us on the street are like, wow, what a tour.
Yeah.
And they're right. Now, the one thing I did want to say, as I mentioned, George and I rode yesterday. We rode the road. We didn't ride mountain bikes. So we saw people. We saw the people on bikes. A lot of people yelling. I think there were 10 sort of shout outs to us. The only problem is 10 for 10. Hey, George. What's up, George? I'm like,
You're like, I live here.
I'm like, yo, it's kind of a hometown of mine. I am the guy that won 7 of these things. The fucking guy, 10 for 10. Hey, George, love you, George.
I would guess
you're the man, George.
That's because they buy his shit.
They buy my shit, and I would guess it's because I usually say hi back, where on the other side you never say hi back to anybody on the road. So that's why. It's
funny you say that, and I have to walk it back a little bit. We did get on the bike path down here, and we passed a group. They were heading down, I suspect, down to Woody Creek Tavern. They were on these e-bikes. And one of the guys in the group said, hey, L.A. Clearly, I end up, people who know me say L.A., right? And George goes, hey, that guy's one. And I said, keep going. Don't look back. I was like, don't turn around. Don't look back. Let's go. Like, what kind of asshole says that? I mean, that's a man. I need some more help, I think. I mean, put the tissues up. I mean, who does that? That's an issue.
We have to keep tissues by him now.
Write that down.
He's tapping into his kinder side, tender moments.
We never stop growing.
It's JB. We don't call it tapping in. We call it elasticity.
Got all the buzzwords.
As Wiggo falls asleep.
No, I was just thinking about this morning when your friend wants to give me a package of shit, and you were saying he'd never give me anything.
Oh yeah, I got a message from Nick Woodhouse on Instagram, who of course owns Reebok now, and I saw the picture. of Sir Bradley arriving.
ABG.
And he sends me a note. So I'd love to send Wiggo a full package of stuff. Right. I'm like going back. I'm like going back through the messages. I'm like, did I miss the one he sent to me a year ago saying, I'd love to send you a package of shit?
Yeah, I know.
Like,
Nick, what about me, Nick? We're friends too. You don't ask for my sizes.
Nothing. I'm like, all right, well, now that the night is here, the fuck. All right, let's get this out of the way because I got in a little.
Move aside.
I got in a little heat the other day because we were talking about Cav.
Yeah.
Because Cav got
knighted.
knighted. So he's now Sir Mark Cavendish, and I was like, I said, what took the Queen so long? And I said it like 5 times talking about the Queen.
She's dead.
I understand, but I didn't remember that, and I was like, oh no, the King did.
Yeah.
But that is very cool of him. But what do you get?
You don't get anything.
Okay. Well, you know what you do get real quick before you answer? Because you sent me. I was like, by the way, nobody knew when you were getting here. I was like, how about a flight number? Okay, so we can track it through the app on this super computer we carry in our pockets. Now, finally, you sent me a copy of your boarding pass that had the flight number. I did notice, and this is dope. All right, my boarding pass says Lance Armstrong. George, it's been a long time since he had a boarding pass because he's, Jizzy Central. It said on your boarding pass, Sir Bradley Wiggins. So you get that. What else? You got to get something else.
You don't get anything else, no. You just get the respect of, I don't know, really. You don't get anything. You don't get anything for it. I guess it's just, there's only 3 of us male cyclists that have been knighted. Chris Hoy's the other one.
Chris Hoy was knighted. And in a sense,
the equivalent for women is a damehood. So there's quite a few. There's Dame Laura Kenny, a couple of others. So it's just recognition for your sporting achievements, really. And I think
for other achievements. It doesn't have to be sports, right?
I mean,
no, it doesn't have to be sport, but it's, it's...
Do you get discounts on bowling or a bucket of balls?
Or get out of jail free?
No.
No.
I feel like we need to go back
It's still quite...
to the King.
I mean,
If
it's
anything,
huge
it makes
honor.
you more of a target for the tabloid press in the UK. Because
Really?
of course, they frown upon it. So you
Nasty,
get,
yeah.
And then God forbid you do something wrong, all right? Now, I think about this a lot, personally, right? Imagine if we had this in America, right? Yeah. And at some point I'm like, Sir Lance Armstrong, because there have been people in England that have been knighted and they call them sirs and then they fuck up and then they take the sir away, right? Had I been Sir Lance Armstrong, don't you know in 2013 I'd just be Lance Armstrong? Like they're taking it away.
Yeah.
So you can have it taken away.
Yeah, but they call people that call for things like that. I mean, trust me, it's a bit disproportionate. There's been people that have been knighthood that have got to far worse than and haven't had it taken away. But it just becomes another weapon for the media to use against you. Like, let's take it off him. Well, there's only 3 letters. Take the fucking thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's just, it's another thing to give you to take away, to discredit you. And I think it's just...
I'd imagine how bad this guy's life is going to suck when we take this away. Yeah. And his boarding
We'll
pass,
make that motherfucker pay for that.
his boarding pass just says Bradley Wiggins. Yeah. It does not have those.
But they can never take it away from you. So you'll just leave it on there. You can just change your name by default. You don't have to leave it up. You can...
And I will say, I'm very proud of you. I can understand every word you're saying today. When you got in last night, I know you're jet lagged and you were mumbling. I was like, this is potentially a train wreck. I cannot understand one thing he just said. Even this morning, the only thing I heard you said is when you called Anthony Turgis.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I understood. I was very stressed. I can understand everything today during the show.
Yeah, that's good. I clean up my my delivery. All
right, let's talk rest
One
day.
thing you did say to me, sorry, Jamie, you said before, remember, Bradley, we got an American audience here. Don't become that Cockney rhyming slang.
Let's talk rest day and then a couple sprint stages. First day back will be a sprint stage, right?
Yeah, the rest day. Well, I want to know what did you do on the rest days in 2012?
Well, yeah, so we always did a minimum of 2 hours on the bike, sometimes 3, lots of clothing on, get a good sweat on.
Yeah.
And it's funny, you try not to eat a lot on the rest days, which is the opposite to what people would imagine. Yep. You'd fill your boots normally, but it always depends what the day after is as well.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think in 2012, that first rest day, we had a semi-flat stage with some hills in the final.
Yeah.
But God forbid there's a mountain stage day after a rest day. That could go either way. The thing with it is there's no textbook as to what to do. Yep. You could have a day off, sit and eat in Five Guys as much food as you like, and you could win the stage the next day.
Yeah.
Or you could do 5 hours, do everything right, and have the worst day of your life on a bike.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's beyond explanation,
It's
isn't
a
it?
very complicated day. Hence,
Yeah.
I hated them. And you know, most of the time we had, or about half the time we had one rest day. I just hated them. Right.
And you know, the other thing as well, on your rest days, your partners turn up, your children turn up, and it's like a bit of a come down of that, and then you sort of try and see them on your rest day, and the whole rhythm of the race is affected by it.
Yeah.
And Pogacar's rest day will be different than everybody else's. I mean, I don't know how much of a press conference he does or how much availability he has for the press, but I remember, you know, that's just one other thing you got to do. And
they have, don't forget about the transfers as well. Sometimes they got huge transfers.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like they have to fly anywhere tonight, but that always affects
I don't think
the
we're
time.
flying this tour.
Yeah.
I mean, due to the odd structure or map of the tour, I don't think we're flying anywhere.
But I think that rest day also impacted a little bit how they race today.
Yeah, for sure. They went
bets
all,
were off
they
a little
went all
bit.
in.
We got
Yeah.
a rest day tomorrow, because a lot of them said that in the interviews afterwards. It's okay, we got a rest day tomorrow now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it meant that they could expend a little bit more and be a bit
Play.
more.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I hated him. George, and also George hated him. I mean,
I hated him because I had to ride with him on my rest day.
destroy.
And he would go so hard. I'd be like, this sucks.
Yeah.
I prefer to be racing.
But you would have to do efforts on today.
Yeah.
I would do efforts.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, these whiners. I mean, I had an amazing team. Amazing. They did a great job. Well, I'd never seen such a group of badasses whine so much.
The worst ones were you arrived at a summit finish and you stayed up there for the rest day.
Yeah, yeah.
So you had to decide whether to go down or not or do the home trainer.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah. But one year actually on the Tour de France, we in 2009, the 2009 Tour de France, we took a helicopter, me, David Miller, and Christian, and we went out to look at the time trial around Annecy.
Oh, really?
And we rode a lap of the time trial, then helicoptered back, because I think we were staying up on
Alpe d'Huez or something?
no, where we finished at Verbier.
Verbier. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Swanky.
Don't tell me you didn't do the same though that day. Did you go and look at the time trial course?
I don't remember. I don't remember anything. What questions? What JP?
We'll do some trivia and then a couple questions.
That's right, because you guys were battling it out in 2009.
Yeah, but
Third and
so
fourth.
remember, the field we landed in, you were there. There was a yellow helicopter with your name written all over it, with gold rudders.
Hey, ask Papa Smurf. All right, he remembers everything.
Yeah.
I'm being serious. I do not remember a lot of this stuff.
All right, Ventum trivia. We're going to give away a brand new NS1 road bike at the end of this tour.
For sure.
If you, I don't know. See if you can get the answer.
You
right.
can enter
Go
every
on,
day.
let's do it.
You can enter every day. It's free. The question from yesterday, just so we can give the answer, was what was Lance's fastest marathon time? And you didn't remember that.
No,
241.
no,
Very close.
2:45 something, right?
2:46:43 in the 2007 New York Marathon.
So it went faster in New York than Boston. Okay.
It's a 6:22 pace.
I was communicating with Cam Haines because I let him know that he got a shout out on the show. He's very excited. He and I finished together in Boston. So New York's a faster course than Boston. So that would make sense, but it's not bad. I mean, you'd have to give me a year of training to run that fast again.
David Miller did New York.
Yep.
He did.
We've
251.
Yep. And we've had some fast.
Yeah.
It's actually.
Cyclists tend to lend themselves to
It'd be a great trivia question. We'll just make it up, right? What's the fastest marathon time for a former professional cyclist? You've got some fast ones. This isn't a real question. Ralph Aldog ran fast.
Did he?
Yep, close to 2:30. Abraham Milano ran close to 2:30. Jalabert can run.
Carlos Sastre.
I think Carlos Sastre did. I think his 10K time is somewhere around 4 hours currently, based on that Instagram you showed me.
Today's question.
That was dirty. that was fucking filthy right there. We'll go.
Here's today's question. Lars went deep on this one. In February 2023, Tom Pidcock descended in a mind-blowing fashion down one of Los Angeles' most famous canyons. What was that name? What was the name of that canyon road?
Oh, that's a trivia question.
That's the trivia question?
Yeah, that's a tough one, I think.
Do you have the answer right there?
I do.
Okay.
Do you want to see it?
No, but I'll ask you.
I think I can guess
Send
it.
your answer to ventumracing.com/themove.
By the way, I believe that's a one-way. So you can imagine Tom Pidcock, the way he can go downhill.
He can use the whole road.
There's
then.
only one concern, like, oh my God, what if I cut the corner? What if a car's that road, for you folks trying to figure this out, I believe is a one-way road. So it's all green lights. I wouldn't want to try that.
Here we go. Here's a comment first. It's from Amy. It says, I've been following the tour for years. First watching both of you with your success on OLN, your Stages show, and now THEMOVE. Thank you for your part in making this historical event newsworthy in the USA. Another contributing factor to my love for the sport, you'll appreciate this, Wiggins, was an old timer I once met who rode in the tour in the 40s. When I asked him what the biggest change was for the sport, he said, well, the bikes have brakes. We just rode wearing a glove and would grab the front wheel on our descents.
That's a lie. That's a lie. That guy clearly never rode the Tour de France.
I think they've always had brakes. They did add the derailleur.
They've always had brakes.
The biggest change for them was the derailleur.
Was it ever a fixie, though? And you could maybe
never
go. Never a
fixed
fixed
wheel.
gear.
No. You had two gears, one on each side of the wheel. They'd take the wheel out, turn
Interesting. Amy, that old guy was pulling your leg.
You know what?
She's been lied to.
She has been.
But you know what? That is kind of a crazy, like, what was the old guy's name? Fred Flintstone? Could be.
Here's another one from Anna. She says, English is now, or seems to be the universal language spoken in most international cycling teams. Back when you were cycling, would the team's staff had a translator if the cyclist didn't speak the team language? That's from Anna in Detroit.
No
we were always on English-speaking teams, and they were kind of just not everybody spoke English, but they were kind of.
Well, I joined La Française de Jour, and you had to speak French.
Yeah.
So you learned it.
Yeah.
But no one spoke English then.
Right.
Yeah.
And Johan was, in a sense, our translator, right? I mean,
he
speaks six
could cover
languages.
everything.
Not that we were ever but you would hear Johan, I mean, on the radio calls, there'd be times during stages, you'd hear 2 or 3 or 4 different languages. So, but yeah, like you join a French team.
Yeah.
Too bad, so sad. If you don't, you got to pick it up pretty quick.
Yeah.
Here's
But I do think
now?
that's
Same
changed.
directors now. Mario.
Yeah, Mark.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's not nice. There's nothing. That's
It's just
not
interesting that those teams are still around. Cofidis and Française do pretty good for cycling. That's very
AG2R?
rare. AG2R as well.
nice. Yeah.
Here's a fun one from Jess. How many times have the ladies flashed you during the race?
God.
Mosca.
Mosca.
Okay, well, I guess that's a George question.
I never noticed. I didn't look around too much. Always focus on the wheels ahead of me.
I just thought that was funny. Let me do a real question. How do riders and teams work to identify their ideal power to weight ratio? That's probably a good one, talking about Remco, right? I would assume it could be tricky formula to get it perfect. And if they're too light or if they could lose power, do riders train with a weighted vest? Is another part of the question.
No.
And during the tour, do they check every day to make sure they don't lose or gain weight? That's from Anthony. Let's just go with the first part, power to weight. How do you figure that out? Testing? Lots of testing.
Lots of testing.
Yeah, but I think you're earmarked from a young age, or certainly as you progress. So in a couple of years' time, you'll be capable of doing this from your performances. You don't just sort of, you don't turn up at camp in January and they say, right, you'll be up for the Tour de France. I think it's your performances lend itself to that, to being talent spotted, as it were. And then you adjust it. You be playing with small adjustments after that.
Yeah.
And some people, I mean, I can just speak personally. I mean, it was very simple for me. Like, if the question is power to weight, it was real simple. Dude, you're not a light guy. You're not a small guy. You have to just get as light as you can get, right? Whatever it takes, get as light as possible. And by the way, at the same time, try to get as strong as possible. So get the power up. I was never faced with I mean, I got to 74 kilos most of the time at the start of the tour. I mean, 71, I mean, I would have had to stop eating for a month, right? So that's obviously not, that was as light as I could get, right? That was the max. So made it easy.
Yeah, and you had good numbers, great power to weight ratio.
Not bad.
So you knew what you had to do. We had a lot more of a guessing game back in our day, where Bradley's team was sort of the first teams that had a much more scientific approach to power to weight and nutrition, and now it's just a whole different level from where you guys started. But you guys kind of started that whole thing.
Yep, that's right. All right, I think that does it.
Any future questions? And, Mr. Wiggins, Sir Wiggins is going to be with us
For a week. Yeah.
for some time. So if you want to do a specific question for him, we can do that.
We hope. Because Aspen in the summer can get a little rowdy.
I'll be there July 4th.
Did anyone put the air tag in his coat pocket?
We're gonna do that.
Yeah, it's called George. George is going to find. George has. I go to bed at 9:30 every night. So George, follow this man around. Make sure he comes back.
Following him around.
Or questions, general questions, TheMove@WeDo.team.
Yep. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you not tomorrow because it's a rest day. We will see you Tuesday. Maybe Cab gets another one. All right. Thanks for tuning in.